Honoring your mother and father, honoring your parents. The Bible talks very clearly about this. That you should honor your mother and father. You shouldn't be disobeying them. Honor your mother and father so you may live long in the land the Lord God has given you. The Bible also talks about following Jesus, believing in Jesus, living a life of Jesus, putting him in the center of everything you do. Now those two things can contradict each other. Sometimes your mother and father won't be aligned with the ways of living for Jesus. So it's a contradiction. So what do you do there? I'm gonna give you a very simple answer. You put God above anything. In Matthew 10:37 it says, anyone who loves their mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Now, if you have parents that aren't aligned with your way of living for the Lord, that does not mean you should completely cut them off. You of course must speak to them. Hey mom and dad, this is how I'm living now. This is what I'm doing. You know, you spread the gospel like Jesus calls everybody to spread the gospel. And it's very important you do not compromise your relationship with the Lord for anything. That includes your mother and father. And in certain situations that can destroy relationships with your mother and father, or even friends, family. Following Jesus does come with a sacrifice in some ways, more than others. Your relationship with God is number one. It might be a little more difficult if you're younger and you're not over 18 and you're not doing things on your own yet. You're forced to live in an environment where God isn't the number one priority. But there are certain times where you need to say, Mom, Dad, this is not how I do things. And always know that God understands what you're going through and he understands the situation you're in. But do not put God and your parents in a wrestling match. You must always do what's right with the Lord. You must always put the relationship you have with him first and everything else in the world second. And these things can cause arguments, and it's not just about your parents. It can cause arguments with friends, family. Following the Lord brings problems down here, bottom line. But I always remember this verse, lean not on your own understanding. God says lean not on your own understanding. So certain things that are happening to you down here, you may not understand why it is at the time. You may not understand what good is this doing, but God understands. His mind is, you can't comprehend it with our little human minds here. And sometimes it can suck because your parents, some of them only really want what's best for you. And sometimes they ask you to contradict what you're trying to do following Jesus. But I say that's the one time that you have to really lay your foot down and be like, no matter the consequences. You have to put your faith and trust in Jesus because he will get you out of any situation. Remember, honor your mother and father, but do not let it compromise your relationship with Jesus.